it right there, mister. Did you really think you could get away with this?
I did, actually, yes.
Every new recruit must have a physical. Now get in here, sailor.
My name is Neil Malarkey, and Malarkey is my real name. People think I made it up because it sounds like a funny name. What I do is comedy improvisation. I work at the Comedy Store and have done now for 18 years, doing improvisational comedy. I now teach this and have done for the last few years in organisations such as yours, with children, disadvantaged people, old economy, new economy, sexy media industries, because I'm passionate about people's creativity, and the creativity that I was disallowed at school. You're not allowed to be creative at school. Because when I say improvisation, people go, oh, you're so clever, you're so marvellous. Well, no, I'm not actually. I'm just too lazy to learn a script. I tell you, being the foreigner is the most difficult thing, because you have to come up with new ideas. Improvisation is not about coming up with new ideas. Creativity is not about coming up with new ideas, necessarily. As you'll find out later, too many ideas don't help the story. A story is about making use of what you have. People are scared of the word improvisation, but I think of it more in terms of cooking. When you improvise a meal, what do you do? John, what do you do? You see what's there and use what it is. How can we mix these disparate elements?
Yes, and then we could go out afterwards for a curry.
Yes! And we'd be so rich we could treat our friends to curry.
Yes, and your mother could come too.
Yes, and she's always had a thing for you.
Yes, and I've always had a thing for her.
Yes, and at last this curry-fueled night of romance could come about.
Yes, and then I could be your father.
Yes. Some people have actually said to me they've used the very methods that I've given them. The game yes and, how to say yes and more rather than yes but, and where that might lead you. But always these are framed within, let's go and talk about how this might apply to your everyday life, how it might apply on Monday morning when you go back.
And I don't want to think about my mother dying.
Yes, and then?
And then you get all her money.
Improvisation, what does it mean to you? What does it conjure up? Jazz. Jazz improvisation is very similar to theatre improvisation. It's about making patterns and not knowing where the patterns have emerged until they have emerged. Luckily, what I do is always framed here at Ashridge within a certain context, which is, here are some fun games, a slightly odd way of looking at things by playing some fun games, but actually we then talk about how that might apply. Don't think, just say I.
I.
Like.
Smiling. Often.
With.
My.
Friends.
Exclamation mark.
Good.
Because. They're.
Funny.
My.
Best.
Friend.
Is imaginary. But.
She.
Loves.
Talking.
To me.
Okay, we're being a bit naughty here, aren't we?
2 words.
We want to control, don't we? We can't control. This is an exercise in no control, other than one word. Okay, she loves talking to me. Cyril.
Because. There.
Is.
A.
Wacky.
Backy.
Sense. Of.
Humour.
In.
Every.
One.
Of. Us.
The.
Monkeys.
Said.
Hello.
And. Commonly.
A banana.
Is.
Eaten.
By.
Me. Apes.
Chimpanzees.
And.
Iguanas.
Live.
Because. Jazz.
Music.
Means.
Nothing.
Okay, great. Good. Well done. We liked that, didn't we? It wasn't profound, it wasn't particularly, clever. Was it just dissing jazz we liked, or just because it made some sort of sense we worked together? Did you see how the story changed with every single word, but it became one story in the end, for which all of us were responsible?
It was a different way of learning, a very different course than any I've been on before, because we did a lot of things that were fun, and quite often when you're having fun and you're really enjoying yourself, that's when you're at your most creative, and you come away after that thinking, that's what I learned from that, and it actually goes in much more deeply.
So we're firefighters, and you're going to say yes but I want you to repeat this sentence after me, and then I'll say yes and. So, I see we've got some new hoses.
I see we've got some new hoses.
Yes, and they're beautifully green.
Yes, but who likes green?
Yes, and we did some surveys. Some people like green, some people like yellow, some people like pink.
Yes, but who cares about the colour of the hoses?
Yes, and it instills confidence into our target audience, which is said person suffering from fire issues.
Yes, but you're making no sense whatsoever.
Yes, and that's why I'm your new personnel officer.
Yes.
Human resources, because of course humans aren't people, they're resources.
Yes, but God help us all if that's your attitude.
Yes, and I really think I can improve here things. I'm going to change the colour of everything in this whole fire station.
Yes, but what about saving lives?
Yes, and we've looked into that. It's not necessarily the best use of our resources.
Yes, but don't you think you're getting rather off the path that you're meant to be on?
Yes, and you're right. Please put me right.
Yes, but you're the boss.
Yes, and I'm commissioning you to put me right.
Yes, but you're the boss.
Yes, and I would really value your input on how you would see us actually working together to save more lives.
Yes, but I don't think I'm getting paid enough for those kind of ideas.
Yes, and I was going to look into an incentivization scheme where you get paid pro rata for the number of lives we save.
Can I change to yes and now?
No.
Yes, but that's a fantastic idea.
Yes, and I'm a leader. I know how to lead.
Yes, but can you come up with more ideas than that?
Yes, and I've got a whole raft of ideas. I'm full of ideas. You put them all into practice.
Yes, but they're invisible.
Yes, and we've had some rival fire stations trying to nick my ideas. That's why I'm writing them in invisible ink.
Yes, but I don't have a decipherable invisible ink reader thing.
Yes, and here is one.
Yes, but I'm blind.
Yes, and I've got it in Braille.
Yes, but that's so multitask.
Yes, and that's why I'm a leader. Multitask is my middle name. Thank you, Danielle. Give a round of applause. Thank you. Wait a second. Thank you. But it's opening up the idea that creativity is not the act of isolated individuals, but of cohesive teams. Now, there may be one idea that came from one person, but because you've created an atmosphere where an idea can occur, and also celebrating unformed ideas. Somebody has an idea and don't quite know how this will work. But somebody else can pick it up. Then you pick it up. So leadership is not about telling people what to do. It's about encouraging and embracing everyone's contribution. I can receive all such emails when I'm out and about. Full stop. Therefore, in the taxi over here, I emailed Herr Schmidt in capital F, Frankfurt, and offered him the job you're about to vacate. Full stop. The first game is I'm doing this, right? What do you think I'm doing there? Okay, and then Kelvin will say to me, Neil, what are you doing? And I'll say, I'm windsurfing. And then Kelvin has to do his best windsurfing acting. And Kim will say, Kelvin, what are you doing? And he can say, I'm anything but windsurfing. Okay? Is that clear? The reason I'm here is that somebody found me on a website last year, and I got to do a thing at Vinopolis with news. And then that seemed to go all right. If I could cope with them, I could cope with anyone. So I did Making It Happen in Birmingham, and I've ongoing various BBC engagements. But when I did this game once with somebody from news, they said, I'm sorry, the brief is insufficiently clear. So, is it clear to you, Michael? It is. Yeah. Okay, you'll be my control experiment. If it's clear to you, anybody can understand it. So.
But the one thing I did change, we tend to have sort of a meeting, get together every month or two, and it can turn into a bit of a major whinge session. Sort of, there were one or two areas that are revisited at every possible meeting. We waste an hour. So I drew some limits, and I said you've got 10 minutes to whinge about it and 50 minutes to suggest ways of putting it right. And that was just a much, much better way of handling it.
It's a model of organisational behaviour based on computer models as well as natural phenomena. So at any point, you could see in any of those games, Wendy was uncertain where I wanted to take it. Where's the story going? Well, my bigger objective was to show how yes and works. But in terms of uncertainty and agreement, here you have high agreement, low uncertainty. Can everyone see this graph? Okay, is that a good place to be? We know what we're doing, we all agree we should be going there. Good place? Do new things happen out of that? Okay, here, high uncertainty, low agreement. Good. So we don't know what we're doing. We don't even agree that we should be doing it. Chaos. So somewhere in between is the area of what you might call innovative, adaptive, improvisational leadership, where you're not quite sure what should be happening next. The leader isn't saying, this is what we must do. Now, there are times when you need this. Low uncertainty, high agreement. We're at war. We're in an operating theatre. We go to press tomorrow. Sometimes you need that. You don't want that normally, but there's some sort of payoff between not quite sure. And there's been a lot of research into creative leadership. And quite often creative leadership happens in less than certain knowledge. So when people don't quite know, they don't quite know how to do it. And that's when interesting things happen. Now, creativity is about divergent rather than convergent thinking. Now, with all these things, there was a frustration, because Michael wanted to tell us what his story was, and we didn't get there. There's a frustration. How clear is the brief? But if it's too clear, then nothing new happens. But there's always a sort of an equilibrium between uncertainty and agreement. I shall leave that up here, and thank you to all my volunteers.
I think one of the things that's really changed for me since doing this course is that it's just completely opened my mind. You get to a certain level in management where you feel you've dealt with certain situations before, and you tend to apply things that have worked for you in the past. You assume it's the same and you deal with it in the same way, and then you wonder why you're not getting results. And the thing about this is that it's taught me to question what I'm contributing to a situation. It's challenged me to look at what is still positive about a situation that's easier to cast as a problem, and it's really just opened my mind to new ways of working and actually to be a bit braver.
Put some coffee on, Jennings. It's going to be a long night.